You're listening to episode 235 of the Super League pod. This week's episode is dedicated to Archie Bruce. Rest in peace. Hello listeners, welcome along to episode 235 of the Super League pod. This is your regular host Mark, and I'm rejoined this week for the first time in a while by Tim G. Welcome back, Tim.
Thank you very much. Good to be here as always in the seats.
Yeah, I think what we'll do this week, Tim, is we'll probably catch up on goings on and stuff in our personal lives for the listeners. We'll catch up on that at the back end of the show, and instead we'll kind of run straight into the news at this stage. So before we do that, do you want to give us information on who sponsors this episode of Super League Pod?
Yep, this episode is sponsored by Rob's Toy Shop, where you can find a wide range of toys, gifts, rugby league birthday cards and more at Rob's Toy Shop on eBay. And you can visit stores.ebay.co.uk/Rob's Toy Shop. And on any orders over £5, you can earn 5% cashback. And also 1% of your order value will go into SLP coffers by putting SLP discount, that's SLP discount, at checkout.
Yeah, so what we've got coming up for everyone this week, there's a big news slate to cover, and that starts with sad news from France. We've got worrying news from Bradford, positive news for the women's game, and then transfer news from across the leagues as well. Then we've got all the stats, results and standings covered for all the competitions as they all head towards the business end. But we are going to go straight into the news this week, and we're going to start with one of those stories that it's really never easy to deal with on Super League Pod. The very sad news that Archie Bruce was found dead in his hotel room at the weekend, the morning after making his debut for Championship side Batley Bulldogs at Toulouse. The club said it was greatly saddened to announce the passing of scrum half Bruce, who's 20. Inquiries are being conducted in France, and the club's players delayed their return home. I understand most of the squad has returned home now. The coach, Matt Diskin, has stayed over in France with Archie's family. The club chairman Kevin Nicholas said the Bruce family have requested privacy during this most difficult of times. He said that Batley Bulldogs, the Rugby Football League and the league's benevolent fund will be supporting the family. Bruce, who previously played for Dewsbury Moor Amateur Club in West Yorkshire, made his debut off the bench for Batley in their 46-0 defeat at Toulouse on Saturday. And the RFL Benevolent Fund, the Rugby League Cares there has created a Just Giving page in Bruce's name, so do search out that if you want to donate to help support his family at this difficult time. Very, very sad news. Someone just starting out in his career, and I want to pass on my sympathies and condolences to his family, to his friends, to everyone at the Batley Bulldogs, and I hope that they can come through this very difficult time together.
Yeah, I'd echo that. I mean, when I read the news yesterday morning, this one really hit me, and it was one that really affected me. I think it's partly through being involved in a club. You see players like this that come through, that make their debut, and the excitement and everything that's around, and then just seeing that whole situation, all the things that people close to him, friends, family, coaches, players who've played with him. All the things that they'll be going through. The only small glimmer of light is I actually can't think of many people better poised to handle this than Matt Diskin. There's a proper level head on his shoulders and someone who'll be able to lead them through that. But really, every sympathy to them through this time, because it's just awful.
It's absolutely horrible news, and our love and support goes out to the Bruce family. Okay. In other news. The Duke of Sussex will be chief guest at the 2019 Challenge Cup final between Warrington Wolves and St Helens at Wembley on Saturday the 24th of August. He succeeded the Queen as the patron of the Rugby Football League back in 2016, and he's finally turning up to one of the showpiece occasions, Tim.
Yeah, great news. And I wonder as well if, obviously with his connections, obviously Prince Harry and Old Money, if with his connections to the Invictus Games, and sort of being the driving force behind that. I wonder if we'll see perhaps him turn up to some wheelchair rugby league events as well, certainly linking in with the World Cup. I think there's definitely an angle to get him involved there. I hope we're getting him talking to the right people, meeting people like James Simpson, who's the Wheelchair Rugby League World Cup ambassador, and I hope we're getting him involved there and really trying to grow his love for the sport and kind of make him love it by ramming it down his throat as much as we can. And I hope that everybody involved gives him a really positive opinions on and off the field of the sport and of the administration and of the fans, really, on Saturday.
Yeah, let's hope everyone demonstrates exactly what is beautiful and brilliant about Rugby League on Saturday for Prince Harry. And like you say, with the strength of the wheelchair Rugby League game, I mean, I don't think there's a sport. We'll talk a little bit more about the wheelchair game later on, actually, in other results section. But I don't think there's a sport where a team sport where the wheelchair version of the game quite so follows the same ethos and style and kind of. I mean, there's a basketball element to the scoring rate, but the way that the game is played, I don't think there's a wheelchair sport that is quite like wheelchair rugby league. I mean, PDRL as well would be an area of interest with the Invictus Games kind of ideas in there as well. I mean, we've managed to get some high profile into our physical disability game, which is absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure Prince Harry would love to be involved around that if people pushed him in that direction. But with the wheelchair game, what I've always thought about wheelchair rugby league, Tim, and I'm sure you'll agree, is it is actually the most inclusive team sport in the world because it doesn't prevent anyone from playing in it. If you are fully able-bodied or fully disabled with your legs and all of that, everyone can have a go at it because everyone's allowed to play with each other.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say is you have to be completely nuts to consider trying it. That's the only requirement.
Yes.
As long as you're willing to do that, go ahead. I would say go ahead, knock yourself out, but there's a quite real possibility you will. I've actually been at a couple of wheelchair events, and they look so brutal. As you hear the sound and just the physicality of it, which I don't think you get that in many other wheelchair sports. The actual physicality involved, you get a lot of the skill and the technical ability and the athleticism, but I think it's rare in terms of the crunching.
Yeah, that's a good point. It isn't completely inclusive because I'm not brave enough or strong enough to take on that sport. You're right, Tim. Good point. Well made. Okay, let's move into some Super League news now. Do you want to take us through the first piece of that?
Yep, so Tonga international prop City Aleki Akuluaka has signed a 2-year contract extension at Warrington Wolves, which will expire in November 2021. So wrapped him up for the next 2 seasons.
Yeah, a player that maybe early stages of this season was slightly on the outer. He's definitely played his way back into the first team squad there.
Yeah, he's definitely, he's a good solid bench prop, isn't he?
For certain. Someone that Hull FC will be hoping becomes that maybe is the signing of New Zealand Warriors and Samoa forward Liggy Sau from next season on an initial 2-year deal. Sau, 26, has NRL experience with Manly Sea Eagles as well as the Warriors. He featured across the pack for both clubs, so a bit of versatility for Hull FC there, and a relative big name because he is a player with plenty of NRL experience.
Yeah, decent bit of business, as much for the versatility as anything else. I know on Rugby League Manager, he was always one I tried to sign just for that ability to cover lots of positions. Mm-hmm. Speaking of people who definitely have some punch up front, David Fafita will miss Wakefield's relegation run due to a foot injury. The Pink Panther himself has been playing through the pain for a number of weeks, but Trinity have made the move to put Fafita under the knife now, despite their battle against the drop, with a view to getting him back ready for pre-season.
I think that I can't believe they didn't do it a month and a half ago. This guy hasn't been in any shape for really fronting up. All he's been doing is damaging himself more ever since Magic Weekend. So it's good that they've recognised this and are thinking about the players' welfare and long-term health rather than the short-term needs of the club.
Yeah.
Huddersfield Giants have brought in 2020 signing Chester Butler to the club on a loan deal until the end of the season. Butler, who was League Express's Championship Player of the Year in 2019, has already agreed to join the club ahead of next season from hometown club Halifax, but the Giants have confirmed they've secured a deal for the centre or back rower before last week's deadline. So Huddersfield need some sort of impetus, and a Championship signing is what they feel will deliver that as the relegation battle hangs on.
Yeah, good to see a Welsh international get his chance up there in Super League. Also, though, does Chester Butler sound like it's sort of a brand of cigarettes? That's just as I was reading. I'm sure it sounds. You just got the view of sort of a package with blue diamonds on or something like that, and
I just
why not try a Chester Butler?
The name Chester as a first name just doesn't quite. Like, Chester's someone who has a butler, not someone who plays
rich Americans.
League. Yeah.
It's rich Americans for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Championship.
His teeth will be sparkling white, and his hair will be tickled blonde with sun-kissed streaks.
As long as that's the only thing being tickled, because that gets you a grade F charge these days. Championship and Swinton Lions star Matty Ashton has signed a 2-year deal with Super League outfit Warrington Wolves that starts for the 2020 season. The Wire have paid an undisclosed transfer fee for the Championship's top try scorer. The 21-year-old came back through the ranks at Rochdale Mayfield before spending 12 months playing in Australia for the Mullumbimby Giants. I'm sure I butchered that, and I'm sure I'll get lots of people correcting me on the pronunciation.
I don't think you will, because I bet Mullumbimby only has about 10 people in it. It doesn't seem like a hotbed, but obviously it's helped in the development of this young kid, who really has been a revelation in what was, when he started, he didn't really start the season as a player that anyone was expecting a great deal from, and as he hit his form, as he hit his stride, he has gone from a team that was a relegation favourite to a team that is a safe mid-table bet at the moment, hugely off the back of his try-scoring exploits. I mean, for Swinton to have the top try-scorer in the Championship is just... I mean, I don't think it makes any sense if you sat down at the start of the season and suggested that, but Warrington have leaped on him, and hopefully he gets a chance to play in the Warrington first team, because they've got some real good wing options, haven't they, at Warrington ahead of him, but when injuries strike, that there isn't much depth there as out and out wingers, and I think this guy's fast, is opportunistic, he's really done a great job, and Stuart Littler's coaching team have brought the best out of him so far.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's good to see players like this get a chance, and hopefully when probably is looking at being probably third to fourth choice at the start of the season, so hopefully he can prove himself and play his way into the starting side.
Yeah, good luck to him next year at Warrington. London Broncos have confirmed the signing of Tui Agodo on a 2-year deal. Agodo will join the Broncos for a second spell with the club, having left the capital for Cass back in 2016. During his time at the Tigers, Agodo has made 15 appearances and scored 11 tries.
That's a decent rate.
Yeah, I think, didn't he score like two per game for his first couple of games? So he's slowed down. He has slowed down.
He did pick up a hat-trick as well, didn't he? Yeah.
But talent that has maybe helped develop his game away from London, maybe giving him a bit more, I think, fight a little bit more, having to force his way into selection. And I think he's going back to London a better player than what he left.
Yeah, and it'll be nice, good for him to get back in a culture that he knows, and a side and an environment that he's happy with, having grown up there. Obviously, it's going to be quite a culture shock when you do move from London up to Castleford. It's going to be quite different from Ealing out there in that ground. So and that area. So it doesn't surprise me that he wants to come home. Moving on, Hull KR forwards Joel Tompkins and Wella Haraki have joined the club's new academy setup as scholarship development coaches. The pair will work under John Bastion's youth structure at Cape Craven Park and will assist under-16s head coach Ben Cockayne in working with the club's new intake of young players.
Yeah, this is your club, so we talked a little bit the other week about concerns about pyramid selling schemes that the under-16s might get involved in. I mean, does this add any concerns to the culture that they're creating, or are we talking about